Hi everyone, welcome to Tanya and Tiana English. Today it's just me, Tiana, here because my mom had made a few videos and I wanted to stay on the channel. I've been really busy recently because I was finishing up my semester, taking a lot of finals, and what that means is, for me, basically I wrote I think 4 papers. I wrote a 10-page paper, a 4-page paper, and I made 2 portfolios with a lot of my creative writing. One of them was a novel that I had written, and one of them was a bunch of poems. So some of them were actually really fun, but it was a lot of work. So that's why I haven't been doing as much work on the channel, but we're trying to fix that. So today I have a video for you on English pronunciation with words that are spelled similarly but sound differently, and this can be really tricky in English, and I've worked with some students with this, so I thought I'd make a video about it. So stick with me. So before we get started, I wanted to share a couple fun facts with you. It was actually Theodore Roosevelt, one of our US presidents, who in 1906 tried to simplify English spelling. Wouldn't have that been nice if it had worked? We wouldn't need this video, but you know, I'm kind of enjoying making it, so I'm a little glad, I guess. All right. And when I was going through these words, actually, doing a little research for this video, I realized how when I was in England studying literature from the 13th century and on, I was taking a class about Chaucer and Middle English, which is really old English that's actually very different from our current English and was a little bit difficult to understand. It's kind of like a combination between English, French, German, and I actually had a friend who was from France. She spoke French was her native language, and she also spoke very good English. And she was actually able to understand a lot of Chaucer's writing even better than I was because she spoke both French and English. So that was kind of interesting. But the thing I wanted to share with you about Middle English is that the spelling and the pronunciation was a lot more consistent, meaning if it was spelled a certain way, then you pronounced it that way. So for example, the word that always made me laugh was knight, as in my knight in shining armor. We pronounce it now as night, night. And we pronounce it the same as night, as in the end of the day, at night, at maybe midnight, when it's really late. So, but in Middle English, they pronounced every single letter, and they pronounced it knicht, knicht. So very different. All right, so I wanted to start sharing with you some of the words that I put together. The first group of words is a big one, and I think it's often very confusing because they're common words, and they're all pronounced very differently. So this word group is with an O-U-G-H in it. All right, and the first word is though. Though. If you want some help with your TH sounds, you can go to the pronunciation video that I made a few months back. It'll be in the cards, in whichever corner that is. And I talk a little bit about a voiced TH versus an unvoiced TH. In the word though, we have a voiced TH. You can feel it on your throat when you say the sound is different from the sound, as in thought, which is, we'll get into that later. All right, so first, though. Though. And this word is kind of used to contrast things sometimes. So maybe, though vanilla is my favorite flavor, I love chocolate. And actually I said that out of order because chocolate is definitely my favorite flavor. All right, so the next word is spelled almost the same but with an R, through. Through. And notice the difference between those pronunciations. Though is making more of a rounded O sound, and through. Sometimes when I work with my students, I tell them to imagine that it's spelled a different way, like Teddy Roosevelt would have spelled it. Maybe with a THREW instead of the whole long OUGH. Through, as in it's pronounced the same way as you threw it in the past tense. All right, so through. But in this case, if it's spelled with an OUGH, it means it's going through something. So for example, the car went through the tunnel. All right, and our next word is rough. Rough. And okay, this word is pronounced very differently with an OUGH. It has an F sound in it. Rough. Rough. And it's pronounced the same way that we say the sound that a dog makes. Ruff, ruff. Which we actually spell R-U-F-F. So if you want, you can imagine that it is spelled R-U-F-F if that helps you pronounce it better. All right, and the next word is cough. Cough. And this one's kind of similar to rough because it does have that F sound, but the vowel is different. So listen, in rough, we had like a U sound, rough. In cough, we have more of like an open ah sound, cough. And you can think of it like when you're coughing, you have your mouth open like an ah sound. All right, so for example, at the end of school, the school year, I had a cough, which is true, I did, and it was not fun. All right, now this one is spelled with, the end is the same as cough, it's spelled the same, but it might make you angry because it's pronounced very differently. Are you noticing a pattern here? All right, so the word is hiccup. Hiccup. And we pronounce it like hic, H-I-C, up, or high, hiccup. Like a cup of water. So you could imagine that it's pronounced or spelled with a C-U-P if that helps. Remember to spell it correctly. If you're writing, remember to spell it correctly. But if it helps you pronounce it better, that's what I'm trying to get at. If it helps you to think of those letters, then by all means, try that. So, hiccup, hiccup. And this one also has that U sound, the hiccup in the vowel. All right? So, for example, yesterday I had the hiccups. And that's when you got the that made me laugh trying to do that sound. Okay. We have a couple more left. The next one is plow. Plow. And this one is pronounced like an O-W, like we say ow, like that hurt, ow. It's pronounced with that sort of vowel sound. But it's spelled with an O-U-G-H, just like all the other in this group. Isn't it great? All right, so, and you might not use this word too much in conversation. I did see a magazine that I like to read. It has lots of stories in it. It's called Plowshares. But otherwise, and you might hear it if you're maybe watching a historical fiction movie, or maybe a movie about farming. I guess they still use plows. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about farming, but so plow. For example, the farmer used the plow. Okay, and the last word in this group is thought. Thought, which is kind of similar to our first words in this group, thought, but it ends with a T. And you can also, words like this are bought, like I'm buying something, but in the past. Okay, so thought. For example, yesterday I thought I saw my friend. All right, so the next group is a little tricky because these words are all spelled exactly the same, but they're pronounced a little differently because they have the accents on different syllables in the word. Okay, so these words are nouns and verbs that are spelled the same but pronounced differently. Fun, right? We love English, yay! Okay, so for a noun, the accent is placed on the first syllable of the word. And we'll see this in an example in a second. For a verb, the accent is placed on the second syllable of the word. Okay, so now for our examples. The first one is produce. Produce. Take a second to see if you can figure out whether that's a noun or a verb. Produce. Produce. Where do you think the accent is? All right, now let's look at the other example, see if we can figure it out. Produce. Produce. Which do you think is the noun and which do you think is the verb? All right, the first one was a noun, produce, because the accent was in the first syllable on pro, produce. The second one was the verb, produce, because the accent was on the second syllable of deuce, produce. So, produce the thing is like vegetables, fruit, that kind of thing. Produce, it could be used for farming, like I'm producing fruits and vegetables, or it could be used in other ways. For example, I'm producing words and examples for you guys. The next example is record and record. Do you hear the difference? Record, record. So the first one, record, has the accent on the re, record. I couldn't say it there for a second. Record. So for example, my sister likes to use her record player. And the verb record has the accent on the O, record. Record. So for example, the music artist records their albums. All right, and more examples for you. Contract and contract. Put those opposite. The first one was contract, which is the verb. Contract, with the accent on tract. And contract, which has the accent on contract, which is like a document that you sign. Maybe if you're in business, you've signed a lot of contracts. And contract, we actually use this more, I think, like if you would contract a sickness, meaning you got sick. And if you want to learn more about some vocabulary when you're sick, then I'll put those in the cards too, because we have a video about that. All right, and then we have address and address. And most commonly we probably use the noun for this. What's your address? Address. And address, notice this changes the vowel sound at the beginning. It's address with a very sharp A, like as an apple. Address. But in the verb, it becomes address, like a U almost, address. And we're emphasizing the dress in this word. So address, to address the judge or something, I don't know. To address your professor, it means to talk to them, or to say, hello, Professor so-and-so, or to address your boss, means to talk to them directly. Okay, and then advocate versus advocate. This one, it doesn't change the beginning vowel sound, so notice advocate, advocate, but it does change the pronunciation a little bit. So advocate is someone who advocates for other people, who speaks up for other people. For example, Greta Thunberg, I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, but was chosen as 2019's Person of the Year by Time because she is an advocate for the climate. Versus advocate is the action of standing up for someone or something. So to use the example, Greta advocates for the environment. Okay, and increase versus increase. These ones sound very similar, but they're slightly different. So increase is the noun. So for example, maybe your city or your country has seen a population increase. Now increase is the action to make more. Okay? The population is increasing. So, I hope this pronunciation video was helpful. See if you can use some of these words in a sentence in the comments below, and let me know if this video was helpful to you, or if you have any more questions. I'd be happy to help. And don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Alright, see you guys in the next one. Bye!